Overwatch Champion Series Season 2 has seen numerous players rise to relevance through excellent campaigns. And it feels like we have numerous players across different regions that fit into this category, either because they're relatively new to professional play and they're finally making a name for themselves, or you have the players on the other side of the spectrum who have been playing for a while but have never gotten a real opportunity to shine until now. Seeing as this year of OWCS is nearly over, I think before it's too late, it's in our best interest to appreciate and name off some of these players to acknowledge what they've achieved this year. Shout out to my guy Jonathan who gave me this idea over on Twitter. He's a big supporter of the channel. I don't know if this video happens without him bringing it up to me, so shout out to him. And a shout out goes to ObsSojourn and her amazing team as well. Without their dedication to the scene, these videos would not be possible. Their POVs make everything so much easier, so definitely go subscribe to her channel if you haven't already. As for the guys that I have on my list, I can't think of a better player that fits the description of breakout player than Ziad. For a long time, Ziad was more so just a substitute player on Twisted Minds. He never really got much of an opportunity. That is until June of last year when he finally got a contract offer from OWCS. And for a while, we probably didn't think much of this pickup, at least for me. I thought that maybe he could be an alright player, but I wasn't getting my hopes up that he would be a dominant force like we've seen in EMEA this season. You could very easily say that he has been the best overall tank in the region, and that's pretty crazy considering that, again, no one really thought that much of this kid going into this year. He was seen as maybe one of the weaker players on a pretty solid roster, but he's maybe been their most consistent performer outside of Landon, and that's pretty ridiculous for a kid who's never gotten an opportunity like this up until now. His first real chance on a good roster where he's a main focal point and a starter with unbelievably good coaching at his side. Ziad has taken the OWCS world by storm, becoming one of the most hyped up and exciting young players that the game has to offer. The rapid growth he has showcased is unbelievable. It's difficult to comprehend. He has gotten so good over such a short amount of time. It's rare to have a talent like this come onto the scene. And just the fact that he has so often looked better and or diffed in-game, both Vestola and KSA, is just a cherry on top. He can take them in the Zarya, the Rush Mirror, anything you can think of, and then he just dumpsters everybody in his way in the Diva matchup. Everyone is scared to play him in that one-on-one, in that composition matchup, because he is just so good at that hero. Genuinely might be, I would argue, is the best Diva in all of OWCS across all the regions. That is not an easy thing to do, just knowing the sheer amount of legendary Diva players that are currently in the league. Ziad is an absolute beast, and it's crazy to think that this could only be the beginning of a very successful career. Staying on the topic of EMEA, I'd like to bring up Jaewoo from Virtus Pro. Yes, technically not a European player, Korean import, but he has been a very solid starter, I guess now more so of a rotational piece on VP these days, but for the most part has been a great starter for that team and their ability to be successful all season long. In Stage 1, he was the EMEA MVP in a lot of people's eyes. He emerged onto the scene as an excellent Genji player, and he's just been a reliable playmaker option for VP from start to finish this year. He filled in many roles on this team, from Genji to Tracer to Pharah, Echo, and Reaper as well. And he was there and a big part of why they were able to hoist up the Stage 1 EMEA trophy, and a big help, of course, in making them pull off one of the upsets of the year against Weibo Gaming to advance to the main bracket of the mid-season championship. He's been there through all the ups and downs of VP, and has mostly been a positive for this squad. And I'd say compared to last year, that's a pretty big glow up. Not that he was bad in OWCS last year, he was part of a scrappy and competitive Poker Face team, but he was in and out of the lineup at times, and no one was thinking of him as a star player of the region like we do nowadays here on EMEA on Virtus Pro. He's come a long way as a player, and it seems like he's finally found a home here. And at the very least, even if this is his last year on VP, he's probably prolonged his career with his level of play, and has shown that he can be either an excellent import or maybe part of a successful Korea team later down the line. Taking a break from EMEA, we're heading over to the NA region, where one of the biggest blow-up players of the entire season lies in Kuffa. Him on Geek Esports has been unreal to watch this season. In a similar sense to Ziad, he has emerged as one of the best tanks in the West. I'd argue compared to all of the other NA and EMEA players out there that he might be the best dive tank out of those two regions without a shadow of a doubt. Elite on Winston, he's shown promise on Wrecking Ball recently, and of course his Hazard has looked world-class from start to finish. So elite, in fact, that he even diffed Crazy Raccoon in a game to really put the hype out there for him, to put it into overdrive. And what I love is Kuffa makes it easy to play around him. You know his preferred playstyle. He likes to be aggressive and make openings for his teammates on the dive heroes, but he has shown a lot of flexibility, not just now, but throughout his entire career. He's played in a lot of different tank roles on a bunch of different teams, and that experience is paying off big time, allowing for him to be the best possible teammate for the rest of the squad and garner his playstyle however they need to at any specific moment, and we've seen the results. Geek, they haven't necessarily been dominant in terms of always blowing everybody out, but they've been incredibly clutch this season. They've won back-to-back NA titles, and they might just do it for a third time. They might pull off the clean sweep, and a lot of that has to do with his leadership. And this is very well deserved, if you ask me. Kuffa's been waiting for a chance on a truly talented team for a long time. He was never able to make it to the Overwatch League. He's been around since 2020. He's been grinding, developing a skill set, but not many people appreciated his talent and what he brought to the table. And as a result, he kind of just kept his head down and kept grinding because he absolutely loves competing. And it's finally paid off after like 5 long years of patience and just playing so hard. You have to look at his history. He's been on like over 20 teams in his career. And just now, after all of that, he's finally on a good roster. Finally getting the support that he deserves throughout this long process. There's not many people that deserve more in this world than Kuffa after the grind that he's been on, so it's well deserved to see him finally be a breakout player in the league. Next up, I'd like to throw Zera onto here. Technically, he was a breakout player last year. I don't think there's any debate about that. He was absolutely amazing to end OWCS 2024, but this year he has turned it up to another level to the point where the hype is reaching places we never thought were even possible. With how he started on Nightmare this year, beating Crazy Raccoon in that game, and being the X factor as to why it happened was just amazing. To see an NA player go out there and put Korea in their place, even just for one match, was a special thing to watch. He was able to develop his skills even more after a great 2024 and put himself in elite company as one of the best flex DPS in the world. Now he's joined a new team and a new adventure on Team Liquid, and he's trying to make more magic happen. And with how things are trending right now, he might be able to pull it off again as we head into DreamHack Sweden. This 19-year-old kid is a transcendent talent. He is part of the future, the very bright future of Overwatch esports. He's going to be one of the best players in the world for so long as he has the desire to compete. For the next breakout player, we're going right back to Geek Esports. We're talking about Kuffa's teammate Maimon. The DPS sensation and national treasure of Wales has been on a tear since joining this squad. I'll try not to beat a dead horse here, but when Zera left the team, it felt like there might be a hole on this roster. Who was going to come in and be an appropriate replacement? Could Maimon really handle that pressure? Could he match the level of Zera, who is a superstar in the first stage? And I think the answer to that in some cases has been yes, but also he's kind of forged his own way of being successful, his own way of being a contributor on this team. And a lot of that starts with his flexibility. It has been an invaluable asset for Geek since he joined at the beginning of Stage 2. He's played a bunch of different roles, allowing for this team to be successful through different metas and to be as prepared as they possibly can be for various opponents. In particular, he's done a lot of the Tracer, Sombra, and Venture heavy lifting, and he's been clutch. He's had a lot of frags, and it all kind of boils over in that matchup against Falcons, which yes, his team would lose, but it was really, really close. They almost beat the champions of the mid-season tournament, and he was a big reason why. He had a great game, including some unreal clutches on Lijiang Tower. This dude is built different. He's ready for the spotlight. Same as Zera, he can be that guy. And much like Kuffa, Maimon is finally getting his real first chance at being a star player at the highest level possible. He's been around for a while, he's always been a good player, but most teams that he was on were more so just a temporary stop, or they weren't good enough to compete, or in some cases like last year, he was more so just a backup player. he wasn't in the right role, but he's finally found it here, and he has emerged into one of the best players in all of North America, and I couldn't be happier for him. Now for just a couple more players in NA, two of which we're going to do at once here, both coming from Nightmare. It's of course Painkiller and Rocket. So Rocket didn't necessarily emerge onto the scene. He was already a relatively good player last season and a couple of years prior even, starting on Wisp, but this felt like the real year where he became one of the top flex DPS from start to finish in North America. The moment he got the opportunity on Nightmare, this dude went on an absolute tear, and I'm not just saying that as a proud fantasy owner back then, but he was a beast on Tracer. He was dominating multiple opponents with ease. We saw how he was able to handle Liquid and SSG during the regular season, and his team was even able to make it to a LAN out of nowhere. He went on a generational run during that qualifier in the NA Stage 2. I mean, truly. When we were hyping up Rocket back in the day, one season prior on Timeless and whatnot, this is what we imagined he could turn into if the development continued to be there, and he has lived up to that. Insanely good player, one of NA's best, has put his team in a position to potentially make it to DreamHack Sweden with how they're performing, and I'm hoping this continues on to next year. Maybe next season will be the one where he takes yet another step, where he ends up on a team that truly is the best in the region. I could see that type of performance coming for Rocket soon, and I'm very excited to see what happens in the coming years. As for his teammate Painkiller on Tank, the expectation wasn't nearly as high. In fact, I'd argue for a lot of people that felt like more of one of the weak points of this roster going into NA Stage 2, but it hasn't been much of a problem. And another player who frankly dominated a lot of the games, had their fingerprints all over it, constantly in the kill feed, constantly making the right choice to put the team in the best position possible to win. And again, as a result, because of that consistent play of both Rocket and Painkiller, they make a LAN, and they've overall been one of the best teams, like a top 3 or 4 team, for 2 consecutive stages now. And I just really love that Painkiller is adding on to this legacy of so many players being super relevant in the spotlight for the first time in their careers. Before joining Nightmare, there really wasn't that much of a history to go off of. Some success in collegiate here and there, some success in some random Face-It tournaments, but really not all that much. This was a really big step and a reason why Painkiller is absolutely one of the breakout players of this year. Before taking a break from NA, it wouldn't be right to talk about breakout players without bringing up Chronic, another Nightmare player. Former Nightmare player, yes, but it all started on Nightmare in Stage 2. And boy has this guy been special, literally one of the best hit scans in the entire world this season. The rapid progression has been magnificent to witness in real time, and we've always known Chronic had it in him. I personally have been really excited for him for a while. I was hoping he'd get a real chance this season after what I saw in OWCS Season 1, on Pirates and Pajamas and Citrus and whatnot. He had a lot of good flashes. He had shown he could be an elite hit scan, but it wasn't there consistently because of the help around him. Then he gets his chance on Nightmare, and him and Rocket immediately become one of the best DPS duos in all of the West. This dude has been on a generational tear. That game against Liquid where he put Tree in a body bag in the Freya matchup, yeah, that was the coming out game right there and then. That was the true breakout status moment for this man to let everyone in the world know that he is now here. Chronic is absolutely goated, and his performance in Stage 2 has netted him a contract with Space Station to end the season. It remains to be seen if they'll be able to do enough to make it to LAN and DreamHack Sweden, but just the fact that he's gone from playing on these middling to below average NA teams to being on a partner team in 1 year's time is very impressive progress and a surefire sign that this dude has arrived on the scene as one of the best DPS in the game. Now let's take a quick trip over to Korea. I don't have many Korea players that I see as breakout this season, but one definitely is Donghack. Maybe it's a little crazy to say that this dude's a breakout player, knowing that he's been relatively solid for the last 3 years, and he was Rookie of the Year in Overwatch League 2023, but I more so think of him as a breakout player because, one, he's developed into one of the best tanks in the world, but also the level of respect he has gotten from the community has tremendously gone up. it is a completely different story. It is night and day compared to the last couple of years, where so many people were disrespecting him, saying he was carried by his teammates on Atlanta, he doesn't deserve Rookie of the Year, and all this other nonsense, he can't be flexible. But now look at him here in 2025, a completely different player. He has developed his hero pool, and he's become a leader for a young T1 roster. He's even said it himself. He has to step up and be that voice of reason for the team, be the voice that everybody follows, and the guy that leads by example. And he's definitely backed up those words. I'd argue he's been the most consistent player on the team and their most valuable playmaker without a shadow of a doubt. He has been so important to that team's progression. They've gotten good so quickly this season, and I think a lot of that has to do with his ability to elevate him and the rest of his teammates. Donghak doesn't feel like that guy getting carried anymore. He actually feels like a star who holds his own weight. A lot of people are going to argue that he has been the best performing tank in Korea this year. I think that's very much up for debate, but the argument is definitely there. And again, that is so different compared to what we were talking about with this guy a couple of seasons ago. He is in such a different conversation now that I can't help but think of him as a breakout player in the league. There's one more player in this video I'd like to discuss in length, but before I do, I wanted to give some honorable mentions to some other players who you could consider to be breakout players. I think Donghak's teammate Proud you can make a good argument for. He's kind of in a similar spot to Jaewoo, where he had some really good moments on Poker Face, but you didn't really know what was next, and so far he's been a pretty reliable hit scan for T1. He's been really solid on the Freya comps in particular, good on Soj. He's had some nice moments for the squad, and he's been a part of a pretty good DPS line. I'm also going to throw Lep out there, main support player of Space Station. I think there's been a lot of moments throughout his career where he hasn't gotten all that much respect. He hasn't had his big moment where you consider him to be a staple support, but it seems like he's finally found the right home on SSG. He's been pretty good since joining them in Stage 2. No real complaints to be found. Clutch Lucio, I've liked his Wu Yang. He's been a nice addition to that team to help them get back on the right track. We'll give a shout out to Simple, who's been a really good import for Twisted Minds. They've had a good habit of nailing Korean flex supports, but this has definitely been their best addition yet. He's had some dominant performances for them, really good on the Kiriko. He's helped keep Twisted Minds afloat since he's joined. Really nice pickup for them. I'd also like to throw Isknam out there. I thought he did great on Team Peps at the beginning of the year. Then he got a well-deserved promotion on Virtus Pro, and he's just been a good contributor for that team. A lot of it on the Hazard and the Winston. He's been a nice rotational piece alongside Vestola. We saw what he did during the whole mid-season tournament, having that secret Symmetra pocket strat, also matching Gushway in a Hazard matchup. He's just been a really good player this year. A very pleasant surprise, going from Peps to being on one of the best teams in the entire world on VP and seeing no drop-off in performance. There's also Aid, who I think has been pretty impressive, a guy that a lot of people have loved for a couple of years, but he's more so just been on the prospect end, never someone to truly take seriously, but he joined Wade this year. He's made a lot of good contributions. He's had some big performances in the clutch, and he's helped this team be better than they were supposed to be, so shout out to Aid for realizing his true potential. And one last honorable mention to Veryl, like the entirety of the team. What they've been doing in OWCS Japan is impressive. It may not be as relevant as the main 3 regions, but they've formed a dynasty over there. Winning 3 stages back to back to back is no joke. That is an impressive feat no matter where you're playing. They've completely taken over the Japanese region, and a lot of the time it hasn't even been that close. They've been excellent to watch progress. A lot of the Japanese players are making some names for themselves, which I think is great for the overall health of the esport. Top Dragon and Slay Korean imports have come onto the squad and have starred as well. Veryl's just been a fun story to watch, and all of their players deserve a round of applause. That does it for my honorable mentions, so now for my final breakout player of OWCS Season 2. It goes to none other than Labda. No list would be complete without this guy, knowing what he's done for Alcatia and EMEA this year. Labda's glow up has been incredible. I think it's been my favorite of all this season, because no one really thought much of him as the main starting hit scan DPS for this team. Him and Checkmate could have been like an okay DPS line on paper, but Labda up until this point, he wasn't really known for hit scan. He was more so known for being this flex player on Twisted Minds and Team Saudi Arabia, playing whatever the team needs, primarily going in to play Pharah and Echo for those niche compositions that Twisted liked to run back in the day. So no one really thought much of him being the hit skin. We thought maybe it'd be a struggle, he wouldn't look that good, and it could be one of the main problems of this team if he couldn't figure it out. But yeah, needless to say, that worry died out in a matter of games, literally just like a week or two, and we completely forgot about that conversation with how he was performing. He was looking great on Soj, Cass, whatever the team may have needed him to play, and it all boiled over into the first lane. He was able to help that team get there, and in a match against Falcons, they were actually able to take a map off of them. They took a map off of the defending champs when they had no right in hell of doing so. And a lot of it has to do with his legacy game, his coming out game where he dominated on Soj. He put Falcons in their place. That's when we were like, yeah, Lambda's here, and he's not going anywhere. And in Stage 2, it only got better. He transcended into a star player through and through, putting together great performance after great performance. Katya didn't even lose a game that stage, and again, in a big tournament setting on LAN, he played great, including a matchup against Courts, who basically is his role model. You know, that's the guy you want to be at the level at, and he was able to keep pace with him and even outplay him at certain points, and that's just not an easy thing to do. And not just for him, for any player in the entire world. No one in their right mind would have thought he would be one of the best hit scans in the entire world at any point, let alone for a lot of this OWCS season. What an incredible story, an incredible turnaround, going from this niche flex player who's just known for playing flyers to a top level hit scan. What a glow up for Lambda. Easily my favorite individual story of the year. And I think that's just about enough glazing for one video. That is going to do it. Those are my breakout players of OWCS Season 2. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and any players that I may have missed out on as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Make sure to give this video a like and sub to the channel as well if you enjoyed, because I make Overwatch esports content like this every single week. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.